TKO board member Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson hits back at criticism about not appearing at WrestleMania 41 in an Instagram post. The person behind Becky Lynch's heel turn on Raw after WrestleMania has been revealed. We have the ratings for Tuesday's post-WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver episode of NXT. The finals of the Women's Owen Hart Foundation Cup Tournament have been revealed. Master P was at AEW Dynamite last night as the Ops got advantage on the Death Riders. John Moxley will be defending his AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe at AEW Dynamite Beach Break. FTR have a new agent in Stokely Hathaway. Timeless Tony Storm presents an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match on Collision. MJF has the latest attempt to get into the Hurt Syndicate. Several matches and segments are confirmed for next week's edition of AEW Dynamite. Jeff Cobb says goodbye to New Japan Pro Wrestling and seemingly confirms his imminent move to WWE. Tony Khan comments on the AEW status of Bryan Danielson, and several matches and segments have been confirmed for this Saturday's edition of AEW Collision. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. As you can see right there, we are at 21,332 subscribers on our way to 25k. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. You can also join the WN365 roster, links in the video description. You can also scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. Let's get in to the latest developments when it comes to The Rock's absence at WrestleMania and criticism of the former WWE champion about comments made on the Pat McAfee show recently about creative in WWE. Now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson recently appeared on the Pat McAfee show to discuss the events surrounding WWE WrestleMania 41. According to The Rock, concerns regarding ticket sales for Elimination Chamber prompted the need for a compelling storyline to boost interest. He revealed that it was ultimately Triple H who suggested the pivotal idea of John Cena turning heel by attacking WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. Following the Elimination Chamber, where John Cena's heel turn and alliance with The Rock shocked the WWE Universe, The Rock felt his role as the menacing final boss in the unfolding narrative had reached its natural conclusion, leading to his subsequent disappearance from television. Despite his absence in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania, many fans had speculated that The Rock would make a significant appearance at WWE's biggest event, given his central role in the preceding storyline. However, The Rock did not appear at WrestleMania 41. In a swift response to SiriusXM's Busted Open radio host Dave LaGreca's criticism regarding his lack of involvement at WrestleMania, following his own comments on the Pat McAfee show, The Rock addressed the situation directly on social media, writing the following comment in response to Busted Open Radio's Instagram post. It says, quote, "Hi Dave, the business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it. Every match, every interview. Please join me, Cody, Cena, and Brian, and the rest of us for our creative discussions so you can expand your perspective. Until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend." Now, of course, what are your thoughts on The Rock's reaction to the criticism of him for not appearing at WrestleMania? Is he right? Is he wrong? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments section below. Now, one thing that did draw a lot of discussion over WrestleMania weekend was Becky Lynch's return and then subsequent heel turn the night after on Monday Night Raw. Now, Becky Lynch wasn't a babyface for long following her return at WrestleMania 41 as the man turned heel on the Raw after WrestleMania. Lynch made her return as Lyra Valkyria's new partner on Night 2 of WrestleMania 41, replacing Bayley after she had been taken out in a backstage angle. Lynch and Valkyria won the bouts but dropped them straight back to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez on Raw, with Lynch turning on Valkyria after the match. Becky Lynch had been under contract with WWE since the new year, and Brian Alvarez has reported on Wrestling Observer Live that the whole angle for Lynch's return was her own idea. Here's what he had to say.
Because this whole thing was Becky's idea, okay? It was all Becky's idea. I heard about it in advance. Becky wants to come back. She wants to win the title and then turn on Lyra the next night. And when I heard it, I was like, what? Like, this is a horrible idea. Absolutely horrible idea. But as it turns out, her coming back and winning the title, I mean, if you went on Twitter after that show, I mean, they all cheered Becky and everything, but like very shortly thereafter, there were all the Becky Hogan posts. And, you know, then I didn't know that her plan involved losing the title. I thought she was going to turn on Lyra as champions and they vacate the titles or whatever. But then losing the title and turning on her, this all worked out perfect for a heel turn. So, I mean, it didn't at the Raw after WrestleMania, but she'll be a heel next week.
Now, let's talk about the ratings for Tuesday's edition of WWE NXT. Of course, it was the post-Stand and Deliver episode. Now, WWE NXT saw an increase in viewership on April 22nd following WrestleMania 41 weekend. According to WrestleNomics, NXT averaged 686,000 viewers on Tuesday. The show drew a 0.17 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. The viewership is up from last week's episode when an average of 663,000 viewers tuned in. The demo also rose from last week's show, a 0.14 rating in the same demo. This week's show kicked off with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defeating Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan to retain the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Noam Dar returned to NXT and defeated Lexis King to become the Heritage Cup champion for a fourth time. Elsewhere on the show, Joe Hendry interrupted a back-and-forth promo between Obafemi and Trick Williams. A future match was teased between Hendry and Femi. In the main event of the evening, Stephanie Vaquer defeated Roxanne Perez to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Vaquer faced off with Julia and Jordan Grace to close the show. Now going over to AEW, and the finals of the Women's Owen Hart Cup Tournament have been confirmed. The 2025 Women's Owen Hart Foundation Tournament has its final following the events of the April 23rd episode of AEW Dynamite. Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter met each other in the semi-finals to see who would move on to face Mercedes Moné at Double or Nothing on May 25th. And after a back-and-forth clash, it will be Jamie Hayter facing the CEO in Phoenix, Arizona. The match started out with a classic test of strength between the two superstars, with Hayter eventually getting the early control with a German suplex and a drop kick. Statlander gained her composure shortly after and took the action to the apron, where she took Hayter down with a leg sweep, but she would miss the follow-up as Hayter moved out the way of Statlander's standing moonsault to the floor. During the commercial break, Hayter took full control of the match after hitting a snap suplex once Statlander got herself back in the ring. She did try and land a few strikes, but Hayter hit an elbow in the corner to halt that momentum. Statlander would get a glimmer of hope, gaining a near fall off a suplex of her own, but Hayter quickly hit back with another snap suplex before locking in a sleeper hold. Hayter took the time to sing happy birthday to herself as the show was taking place on her actual birthday, but too much showboating from the Brit led to Statlander getting out and hitting a back elbow off the second rope for a double down. Coming out the commercial break, Statlander started to rally a comeback with strikes before hitting a stalling German suplex for a 2 count. She kept control with a dragon sleeper, but Hayter rolled out and locked her in a hold of her own. However, Statlander used her strength to get to her feet, all while Hayter was on her shoulders and hit a face breaker and a pair of knees to the back for yet another near fall. Both women looked to roll the other up before landing big moves on each other, with Statlander hitting a powerbomb and a Hayter hate breaker. Jamie went for Haterade but missed as Statlander slammed her down and proceeded to hit a big 450 splash from the top for a 2 count. The end of the match came when Statlander went to the well one time too often as Hayter got back to her feet before her opponent could hit a second 450 splash, hitting a Haterade from the second rope immediately after. With Statlander out on her feet, Hayter hit another Haterade for the victory, meaning she advances to the finals at Double or Nothing. After the match, Mercedes Moné came out to congratulate Hayter on her victory as the two had a stare down as the show went off the air. Now, the show started with a bang last night on AEW Dynamite. The legendary rapper Master P kicked off AEW's April 23rd edition of Dynamite by celebrating with new AEW World Trios champions, the Ops, that being Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata. Before the fun could even get started, the Death Riders hit the ring, with the male members of the group attacking the Ops from behind while Marina Shafir walked through the crowd. Eventually, Jon Moxley came faced with Master P himself. Samoa Joe took advantage of the moment and nearly put Jon Moxley to sleep with his signature Kikina clutch. Instead, the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada hit the ring to the aid of the Death Riders. Swerve Strickland and Kenny Omega came to the ring to chase off the Elite, leaving the good guys standing tall in the ring. Now, this is now set an AEW World Championship match for AEW Dynamite Beach Break in a few weeks' time. Jon Moxley will be defending his AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe at AEW Dynamite Beach Break on May 14th. Now, of course, Samoa Joe choked out Moxley as the Ops captured the World Trios Championships from the Death Riders on last week's Dynamite, prompting them to emerge during the next night's AEW Collision, ransacking the place with Moxley demanding a one-on-one rematch with Samoa Joe. After the events of Dynamite last night, Samoa Joe took to the mic and declared that he wanted to face Moxley and would be regaining his AEW World Championship, simultaneously casting a look at Strickland before he took his leave. This will be the first time Joe and Moxley wrestle one-on-one since their time together in WWE, with Joe defeating Dean Ambrose on an episode of Raw in November 2017. It will also be Joe's first attempt at the world title since losing it to Strickland at Dynasty last year, while he will be in his 6th defense of Jon Moxley's title reign. Now, FTR are under new management on Dynamite last night. FTR returned to All Elite Wrestling on the April 23rd episode of AEW Dynamite following their one-week suspension that came as a result of attempting to attack Tony Schiavone and beating down Daddy Magic, Angelo Parker, and Daniel Garcia. However, they didn't come alone. As Schiavone was going to introduce Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, Stokely Hathaway made his return to the company after a lengthy absence and came to the ring with FTR. Hathaway explained that FTR had been treated unfairly as their actions have been nothing compared to what the likes of Jon Moxley, Hangman Page, Darby Allin and Ricochet have done in recent months. With that in mind, Hathaway confirmed that he was going to get FTR's suspensions stricken from their permanent records, and if anyone wanted to talk to the two men, they would have to go through Hathaway, their brand new agent. Wheeler then took to the microphone, where he explained that 2.0 and Daniel Garcia got in their way, not the other way around, and that putting the likes of Cobb, Garcia, and AEW as a company first has gotten them nowhere. Harwood then had something to say, but after being booed heavily by the audience, he invited the special guest, the Rock and Roll Express, into the ring. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson reluctantly got in the ring, and even with a warm welcome from FTR, Harwood didn't give Morton the chance to speak, as he kept taking the microphone from him. When Morton had enough, Hathaway revealed that FTR had a new t-shirt and threw it at Morton, leading to FTR attacking the two legends, with Morton getting a spike pile driver for his troubles. Before any more damage could be done, the Paragon rushed to the ring to save Morton and Gibson, while FTR and Hathaway escaped through the crowd. Now, a big match is confirmed for AEW Collision this coming Saturday. AEW Women's World Champion Timeless Toni Storm will be in action this weekend on AEW Collision after throwing out the challenge for an eliminator match. Storm has yet to wrestle since retaining her title over Megan Bayne at Dynasty earlier this month, having spent the time observing her challenger pool within the Owen Hart Cup. However, she said during this week's AEW Dynamite that she is done waiting around and wanted an even closer look at one of her peers with an open challenge for Collision. Queen Aminata then entered the frame, accepting the challenge and making a title eliminator match official for this weekend. Aminata will be returning to the ring for the first time since March, having last lost to Julia Hart during Collision's Slam Dunk Saturday. Storm and Aminata met in the former's final match before dethroning Mariah May at Grand Slam Australia, with the eventual Women's World Champion getting the win on that night and the first time they faced in February last year. Now, moving on, MJF continues to attempt to get accepted into the Hurt Syndicate. Now, MJF has been attempting to join the Hurt Syndicate in AEW for a number of weeks now, with MVP initially handing a business card to MJF. After contemplating the decision for a week, MJF said he wanted to join the group, but for him to get the nod, he needs to get 3 thumbs up from MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. MJF has been attempting to persuade both Shelton and Lashley to give him the thumbs up to join the group, with him bringing the group a number of women and a watch last week. On last night's episode of the show, MJF once again asked the Hurt Syndicate if he could join the group, with Shelton Benjamin this time giving him the thumbs up to MJF, though he noted he did it for MVP rather than the gifts last week. However, MJF still needs to convince Bobby Lashley to get him to join the group, with him telling Lashley he can have his car if he gave him the thumbs up. Lashley would end up getting in the car before giving MJF the thumbs down and then driving off. Now, Kyle Fletcher, he's going to be in action next week as the Owen Hart Men's Foundation Tournament will have a final set. Now, Page versus Fletcher is next Wednesday. The April 30th edition of AEW Dynamite will feature the second semi-final match in the Men's Owen Hart Foundation Tournament, with Kyle Fletcher facing Hangman Adam Page. The winner of that match will go on to face Will Ospreay in the tournament finals at AEW Double or Nothing. Now, Jeff Cobb is done with New Japan Pro Wrestling and seemingly is on his way to WWE. Jeff Cobb's departure from New Japan Pro Wrestling has been a sore spot for New Japan fans and a greatly anticipated arrival to WWE fans. The former IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champion said his goodbyes to the promotion in a social media post, but did so in a very telling fashion. Then, now, forever, Cobb wrote on Twitter, referencing WWE's show opening catchphrase. Cobb says arrow pointing to the New Japan banner in the picture of him, clarifying that while it is the WWE catchphrase, he is saying that no matter where he ends up, the promotion will always be a part of him. It is still not clear when Cobb will debut in WWE. Many assumed it would be at WrestleMania 41, answering Randy Orton's open challenge, but that honor went to TNA World Champion Joe Hendry. Cobb vacating the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team title he held with Callum Newman had many wondering how quickly the deal between Cobb and WWE came together. Recent reports suggest that Cobb had already signed with WWE, and New Japan was aware of this fact when they put the tag titles on Cobb and Newman. New champions have yet to be determined. Now, Tony Khan has opened up on Bryan Danielson and his status with All Elite Wrestling. AEW President Tony Khan has addressed the status of Bryan Danielson amid his ongoing absence from the company's programming. Last competing at AEW Wrestle Dream in October in what was his last match as a full-time wrestler, the status of Bryan Danielson in AEW has been the subject of much speculation, as many fans wonder whether we'll see the American Dragon compete again. Speaking on the Way of the Blade podcast, Tony Khan addressed Danielson's current status while also putting over the veteran's importance to the company behind the scenes as well as in the ring. Quote, "I still work with Bryan Danielson. He's still a big part of my office. He's not on the show and he's been injured and maybe retired for good, but he's never said he's done for good, and I hope there's some possibility he will be able to return to wrestling from the injuries and the way he left, but he's still a part of AEW. I'm still very fortunate to work with Bryan. I talk to Bryan almost every day. He's got a great mind for pro wrestling, and he's somebody I'm really pleased and blessed came into AEW and got involved with us. He's a great person in and out of the ring, and he's a great leader in AEW. Now, Danielson recently said it was 50-50 as to whether he competes inside of a wrestling ring again, with his hope being to having to avoid undergoing neck surgery, even if that means he has to retire for good. And finally, several matches have been confirmed for this Saturday's edition of AEW Collision. Of course, it's a special Playoff Palooza edition of the show. First, FTR will return to action to further their tensions with the Paragon as they'll take on Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong in a tag team contest. The Ring of Honor World Championship will be on the line as Bandido defends the bout against Dralistico. Also, as we mentioned previously, Timeless Tony Storm will face Queen Aminata in an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match. Swerve Strickland and Blake Christian will also clash in a one-on-one affair. Plus, Anna Jay will make her return to the ring. This will be Anna's first match on AEW television since December 2024. Furthermore, Max Caster's Open Challenge returns. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.